gruesome story leads off our newscast.
Milwaukee police found body parts in a north side apartment, and now they wonder if they've uncovered some kind of death factory. This was the scene earlier this morning. Police hired a private contractor to haul a refrigerator and a tank of acid out of the apartment in the 900 block of North 25th Street. Because of the acid, some neighbors were evacuated briefly. Police found parts of bodies, leading them to believe the man they arrested is a mass murderer.
Imagine living next door to a monster, and the only warning sign is a foul, sickly sweet stench creeping through the hallway. Neighbors thought it was bad plumbing, maybe spoiled meat. But behind the door of apartment 213, something far more sinister was rotting. When police finally stepped inside Jeffrey Dahmer's Milwaukee apartment, they weren't prepared for the horror waiting in the fridge, and the freezer, and the bedroom. This is the twisted story of Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee cannibal. Jeffrey Dahmer's dark story didn't start overnight. It was building from childhood. He was born in 1960, and even as a little kid, there were signs that something wasn't right. Dahmer grew up feeling overlooked and lonely. He found it difficult connecting to people, and his parents often fought. He became quiet, isolated, and developed strange hobbies. While other kids played sports or video games, Dahmer was collecting dead animals, roadkill, bones, and skulls. He was so intrigued by what was inside that he even dissolved flesh with acid to see the appearance of the bones. As he got older, Dahmer's life spiraled. As a teenager, he started drinking excessively, which made him feel even more alone. Things took a horrible turn by the time he was 18. In 1978, Dahmer picked up Stephen Hicks, a young man hitchhiking near his home. They drank together, but when Hicks wanted to leave, Dahmer became anxious. He hit him over the head with a dumbbell, strangled him, and killed him. What followed was horrific. Dahmer cut apart Hicks's body, crushed the bones, dissolved the flesh with acid, and scattered the remains around the yard. After that, Dahmer tried to live a normal life. He joined the army, but got dismissed because of his drinking. Alcohol abuse, loneliness, and legal troubles, including arrests for public indecency, became a recurring theme in his life. But deep inside, his darkest urges never left. Stephen Hicks's murder was just the beginning of a horrible journey that would later shock the whole world. Jeffrey Dahmer's terrible urges resurfaced in 1987, and they only grew worse. Stephen Tuomi, a young guy Dahmer met in a Milwaukee pub, was his second known victim. Dahmer invited him to a hotel room, where things quickly turned deadly. After a long night of drinking, Dahmer woke up to discover Stephen dead next to him, battered and covered in blood, even though he claims he had no intention of killing Tuomi. What Dahmer did next was disturbing. After buying a large suitcase, he packed Tuomi's body inside and brought it back to his grandmother's home, where he was then living. He tried to preserve the skull as a souvenir there by ripping apart the body, removing the skin, and boiling the head in bleach. This became part of Dahmer's pattern, keeping body parts as trophies. Dahmer's obsession with preserving pieces of his victims only heightened by 1989. That year, he met Anthony Sears, a model and aspiring professional, at a gay bar. He was lured home by Dahmer, who then drugged and strangled him. But this time, Dahmer kept more than just bones. He preserved Sears's head and genitals, storing them as trophies. Dahmer wanted to own his victims and keep a piece of them forever, so it wasn't simply about killing anymore. What's more upsetting is that during this time, Dahmer was actually supposed to be under watch. He was put on probation after being arrested for molesting a young kid in 1988. But the supervision was weak. Nobody realized the monster he was becoming. The system failed, and Dahmer carried on with his horrifying killing spree, undetected and uncontrolled. His obsession was just beginning, and it would soon spiral completely out of control. Jeffrey Dahmer's flat, number 213, in the Oxford Apartments in Milwaukee, had become something out of a nightmare by the early 1990s. It looked totally normal from the outside, but on the inside, it felt like stepping into a real-life horror movie. Dahmer had filled his apartment with the remains of his victims, cabinets lined with skulls. A massive 57-gallon blue barrel was filled with torsos, slowly decaying the remains of human bodies. He stored body parts in his refrigerator and freezer, including heads, hearts, and even pieces of flesh, some of which he later admitted to eating. That's not all, though. More than 100 Polaroid images of his victims in various disturbing states were discovered by police. They showed him posing, dismembering, and preserving twisted mementos of his murders. But it wasn't just about killing. Dahmer had plans. Dark, ritualistic plans. He planned to create a temple inside his own apartment. He planned to build a shrine made of human skulls, with incense burning, a special globe light, and a black leather chair where he could sit and meditate in front of his collection. For him, it was a dream world that was totally split from reality and a place of power and control. Over time, his murderous techniques also grew increasingly gruesome. He no longer simply drugged and strangled his victims. Dahmer began drilling holes into their skulls and injecting acid directly into their brains. This would make them zombies, he believed, completely submissive and unable to leave him. Errol Lindsay, Tony Hughes, and 14-year-old Conorak Synthesomphone were among the victims who met this fate. He then dismembered the victims by chopping them up, cooking the flesh off the bones in kettles, and storing the remains in drums and freezers. His apartment was a house of horrors, hidden in plain sight. Among Jeffrey Dahmer's many victims, two names stand out. One for the heartbreaking tragedy, and one for the escape that finally ended Dahmer's reign of terror. The first is a 14-year-old Laotian kid named Conorak Synthesomphone. Dahmer lured Conorak to his apartment by offering him money to take photos. Dahmer sedated him once inside and then bored a hole in his skull so that acid could be injected straight into his brain. His sick idea was to create a zombie, someone completely under his control. After the injection, Dahmer left the apartment to buy beer, thinking Conorak wouldn't be able to leave. But incredibly, the boy managed to escape. Disoriented, bleeding, and naked, Conorak ran into the street. Neighbors found him and called the police, terrified by his condition.
Emergency operator 71.
Okay, hi, I'm on 25th and State, and this is a young man. He has been beaten up. He can't stand. He has no clothes on. He was really hurt.
But when the police showed up, Dahmer calmly stated that Conorak was his 19-year-old boyfriend, drunk after an argument. The officers believed Dahmer and brought the boy back to his apartment. Despite the neighbors' concerns, Dahmer carried on with his horrifying ritual. After killing Conorak a few hours later, the failure to save Conorak is one of the most tragic parts of the case. Then came Tracy Edwards. At a bar in 1991, Dahmer lured Edwards, then 32, to his house. But as soon as Edwards came in, he noticed a strange smell and saw large acid containers. Dahmer threatened him with a knife and tried to handcuff him. Luckily, Edwards kept calm and waited for the right moment. When Dahmer's guard was down, Edwards punched him and ran away, still wearing the handcuff on one wrist. He flagged down 2 Milwaukee police officers and told them what happened.
This is the guy that cuffed me. He put a knife to my chest, said he was gonna eat my heart.
No. I did cuff him, but I got the keys in my bedroom. I'll go get them.
No. You stay here. I'll go get him.
The officers decided to check it out. The first thing they noticed when they walked into Dahmer's flat was the smell. A strong, rotten, decaying smell that was mixed with chemicals. It felt as though you were walking into a nightmare. they spotted a large container of acid and strange tools lying around. One officer opened the fridge and froze in shock. He discovered a human head inside, stored like leftovers. As they searched further, they uncovered horrors beyond belief. They discovered bones, skulls, and other remains that Dahmer had preserved as trophies in drawers and on shelves. One of the most disturbing discoveries yet was a set of Polaroid photos that portrayed his victims at different stages in time. Drugged, posed, chopped up, or worse. Faced with all the evidence, Dahmer didn't resist. Rather, he calmly confessed to everything. He told police the whole story over the next several hours, confessing to the murders of 17 boys and young men. He also described the unsettling details of his crimes, including his obsession with preserving body parts as souvenirs, necrophilia, and cannibalism.
I was saving body parts such as skulls and skeletons.
The officers couldn't believe the extent of what they had uncovered. The unnoticed man in apartment 213 had been hiding one of the most horrifying killing sprees in history, right under everyone's noses. That night, the world finally discovered the true face of evil.
Never, Jeffrey! Jeffrey! I hate you!
Following Jeffrey Dahmer's arrest, people started to wonder how such heinous crimes had gone unreported for so long. During his trial, Dahmer pleaded guilty, but insane.
I know how much harm I have caused. I tried to do the best I could after the arrest to make amends, but no matter what I did, I could not undo the terrible harm I have caused. I feel so bad for what I did to those poor families, and I understand their rightful hate.
Psychiatric examinations revealed his twisted fantasies, including building a temple from the skulls of his victims, where he would meditate and feel powerful. His plea of insanity was denied by the court. He was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms. But Dahmer's time in prison was short. In 1994, while serving time at Columbia Correctional Institution, Dahmer and another inmate were attacked by Christopher Scarver during a work detail. Scarver used a metal rod to beat Dahmer to death. Some called it justice. Others believed it was inevitable. Either way, the reign of one of America's most infamous serial killers ended violently. The apartment is empty now. The smell is gone. The walls scrubbed clean. The horrors packed away into history. But the memory lingers. In every photo, every headline, every whispered conversation, all that remained was an echo of evil. Frozen in time, impossible to forget, haunting Milwaukee forever. That was all for today. What do you think was the most disturbing aspect of Dahmer's story? Let us know in the comments below. Do not forget to like and subscribe to the Suspense Room to unlock more stories.